Where have you gone, boys?
We're still here somewhere.
Yeah, your pictures have just disappeared. Oh, hang on, hold phone.
I was playing hide and seek. Okay.
We're here, finally. A little bit of a false start, but we managed to find the right buttons. So sorry about that, folks, but we're all here. Welcome. Evening, Barry. Evening, Bruce.
Good evening.
Yeah. Good evening.
Seem to have lost you once again.
Yeah, we're coming in. Yeah, we're playing hide and seek.
Yeah, you're doing a little bit of hide and seek on me there. I don't know quite what's going on, but you're back now, so I'll have to just sort out the issues at my end.
Yeah, no. We're just playing around with this end.
So yeah, a little bit of a drama there. So anyhow, evening, Barry. You've gone all formal on us. What's with the glasses?
Oh, I've got the camera set back a little bit tonight, and a little bit with the sight as the age comes on, and I thought I might do a little bit of reading at some point too.
Have you got a book for us to start the show off?
Couple of verses from the Bible.
Do tell.
It's but I won't. I mean, yeah, I normally read this to Jackie at nights before we go to bed. She'll have to do without it tonight because it's out here. So anyway, I'll put them all to bed, and I've got the reading books out here tonight.
You've got the reading books. Oh, fair enough. So
yep.
Yeah, it's we've got a bit of a Bathurst theme going here. We've gone for team uniforms. Got the iconic Bathurst track. Dad's got the same. Yeah. So 2 years ago today, we were last there, weren't we, Dad?
Yeah, 2019, and yeah, that was a great trip. First experience of squeezing 4 cars into a 40-foot container, and yeah, there was a lot of learning to do there, but it can be done, and yeah, made it just that much more enjoyable. Less takings out of the bank account.
Yeah, best way forward. But I pulled this photo up. I've got a couple of others, but I kind of like this one, the irony of it, and I wanted to set the record straight. I'm not scared of the water. I just didn't want to scratch a brand new car that we just finished rebuilding, so I sat out that race. But this is during that infamous wet race, and of all the people that should be good on water, that guy behind you.
Yeah, well, you know, I
blocked
saw
them
him
out
in the rear view a couple of times, but the biggest problem I think for everybody out there was fogged up windscreens, and certainly I had one. Been racing long enough not to fall into that trap, but we did, and yeah, that made it not as enjoyable as it could have been.
Yeah, there's a little bit of fog there on the screen. So yeah, look, it was certainly a great weekend. Barry's got the Bible there. I did feature, so I did manage to make it out onto the track. I think this is race number 1 when I had to come through and managed to pass Bowie there. So that's me just setting him up for a pass on the front straight. I think I got him on Mountain Straight from memory. So that was pretty cool. And you can see Dad in the background. I think the good thing, well, the bucket list thing on this one, isn't it, Dad, that we both ended up in the top 10 in race 1. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I suppose there wasn't really a master plan, but you know, we wanted to perform well, and a top 10 finish for both of us was a good thing, and there was a few other milestones on the way which we might talk about. And
Yeah.
Yeah, what a great place. I mean, every time you go out there, you get tingles up the back of your neck, and yeah, that's the way it is, and that's the way it'll be forever, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Can I just, I might just add there, even as a spectator, from on Conrod Strait and the Cooper's Bar, is tingles also going up our spine, and probably a little bit of beverage going down the other way. But yeah, what a place to view.
Yeah, no, it's just a special place. Most of our supporters have probably been there, and this is a bit of a thanks to them for coming along, because it makes the weekend so much more enjoyable when there's a bunch of mates to share it with. So just one last photo, and then we'll get into the focus of this evening. I couldn't resist this one. I mentioned about him a couple of weeks ago, and a good mate Shane Van Gisbergen does some pretty funny memes if you follow Apex hunters. I think this is a good one, this one. I'm going to use all of the Apex. I think even the right-hand tire is going to get a bit of the curb. So
yeah, got to sneak a bit more out of it too.
Yeah, that was you got to be I think
the XE's doing pretty well there, really, for a relatively unsorted car at that point. Yeah, I mean, obviously you're pressing on, and it put in some really good times. And but the attitude of the car there is interesting. The fact that you can line yourself up and cut that apex.
Oops.
It's not the easiest place to do it.
Wrong photo, guys. Sorry, you didn't want a full screen of me. Yeah, and yeah, the undulation there, as you can see, it's a very iconic sort of Bathurst corner to capture. So it's nice to have the car coming down the mountain there. Anyhow, so that sort of gets us underway, and gets me organised so I get my button clicking done right. But I've got a little bit of a wind the clock back and then go forward, and I think Barry and I had a little bit of a preview yesterday of a couple of photos, but tonight's all about the supporters. I think we're going to stop on the cars a little bit, do a little bit of a backstory here of the team. It's got a colourful character that's going to feature, and it's got something that Dad threatens to bring back from the dead. But it kind of all started, I think, with a bit of this. If this comes right, and I blow this up full screen, what's happening here?
Grandstand.
Yeah, there's no change of picture. Oh, here we go. Yeah.
So, yeah, look, we talked about the race truck, and that's what the theme is going to be a little bit on tonight. But it started way back with, I think it's back at the Ardmore, is it, for the Grand Prix?
Yes, I think this is Ardmore with one of the company trucks, and it'll have the hoist up, and we had a bit of a grandstand on it. Grandstand's a bit of a big word for it, but however, we had some good Pinepac timber there, made some seats, and I think we could get probably 20, 25 people on it, and with some sort of a view was pretty good.
Yeah, so there's yourself in the truck, and I don't know whether you can pick up any of the faces. It's certainly well before my time.
Yeah. Yeah, Alan Dale is the big fella up there smoking a cigarette. He married one of my cousins, Barbara. Alan worked for the company for many years. Great operator on heavy machinery, and went on to run his own company, and did that very successfully.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'll just peel it back to those who didn't see the beginning, but what Model Ford are we talking here?
Well, I think back then it was probably a Thames Trader. I'm not sure if there's a glimpse of it, but if it's Ardmore, it would have to be a Thames Trader.
So it's got the full hoist, so they're up in the bleachers right at the back. And, yeah, so that's how you partook at the racetrack. So yeah, I thought for those who thought we
With Ardmore and of course the early days of Pukekohe too, that you had to be up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
there we go. We're with Tim Strader.
Yeah, all right. So I'll just go back to that.
Yeah,
So
there's some of the Toby Yellow starting to show up.
Certainly was.
yeah, so there was a question put out. Where did I think John Forrest asked the question? I told him to go back and look at the previous episode. But yeah, it was a caterpillar colour, wasn't it? The colour we ascertained.
Yes, well, as I said there last week, I think it was the company colours ended up as Toby Yellow, but they started off with a colour called Highway Yellow, and as I mentioned, it was a little bit a bit lighter, I suppose, in tone, and then Caterpillar had one of their variations of yellow come out, and it was called Toby Yellow. I actually found a thing on the internet recently that Caterpillar actually called it Toby Yellow. So that was the origins of what nowadays is known as Pinepac Yellow.
Yeah. So I brought this photo back. This is the first car of the team.
You've got the free frame here.
Pardon? Yeah. So this is the first.
It's frozen here. I'm not sure what it's like for everybody else.
Well, we're live, so we'll keep rolling. So hopefully you can see the. Can you see the Falcon there, Barry?
Yeah, I got it. Yep. On the dual axle with 2 hubcaps.
So this is the Airport Motors trailer with the XE heading off for its first race meeting. So this is the first car that affectionately dawned the Toby Yellow, as we just heard Bruce talk about. But this is a little bit about the team transport tonight. So we start off with the trailer, and the trailer comes along. Oh, sorry, that's me again. Wrong button. So this was what we how we slummed it back in the day. Nice bit of Bay Park mud and a tent.
Yeah.
Is that you in the background there? See that, Bruce? Can you see the tent?
Freeze frame on the car, on the trailer.
Oh. Okay. Just, we're going to struggle a little bit then if you can't see the pictures, unfortunately. Maybe just try... just go back here. I think we're back again now, aren't we, Dad? Hello, come in, call us.
Can see us, Bruce.
No,
Has he got his volume on the
Yeah, the three of you back there.
Yeah. Oh, you had us in suspense there. We thought we'd lost you and you'd frozen, but it was just looking to take a beverage. So we're here at Bay Park with the tent.
Now we've got
We're away again. All right. So this is what happened. This is how we'd rock up to the racetrack. Sorry, folks. We're back underway. Ross thinks it's Leonard's yellow, but no, that's a whole nother thing. So don't go there. So this is how we used to set up camp. So I think that's Jacko in the blue overalls there. One of the first meetings with Pinepac Falcon. So just get up here, and then we've seen this thing arrive. So we're just doing a bit of a review through some of the old images here of the infamous truck. So here she is in her glory, all turned up. Everybody's donning the team uniform, and if I zoom in, you've got a Round the Bays 84 going on there.
Yeah, well, that was quite a thing in the day too. We used to take a company team on Round the Bays, and some of the boys hadn't done a hell of a lot of running, but pretty much everybody made an effort, and it was good. Worked out fine.
Yeah, so this is the clue in the back.
Aftermatch bears for the event.
Yeah, there's a clue in the background here. So this is obviously Bay Park, and we've got the merchandising tent well and truly up and running for sale.
I can't see the price. Is that the price list there? I can't remember what it paid.
Yeah, I think it's $7,
Yes.
$7 and $5 maybe for a cap.
Jeez.
Giving them away.
Yeah,
Got any left? Have you got any left? I'll buy some more at that.
So this was
I got a suitcase for stuff like that.
So for those avid watchers of the team, and Barry, you've got actually got the early version of the car on it too. So that's quite a collector's item, that one. It's only going to appreciate in value, that T-shirt. So
yep.
One of the cool things once the truck was done was, as a family, we headed on a bit of a road trip. We talked about the road trip in some of the shows. So any hazard a guess where that is?
Oh, a bit of a flagpole there. It could be Bluff Hill, is it?
Yeah, it sure is. Your camera's gone there for a moment, Bruce. Yeah, this is climbing Bluff Hill when we went on a road trip early '84. So the truck there still with no warning on the side, but it's got the got the famous grandstand or pig pen up the top.
Yeah.
And
so who would have got out? Cosmo would he have parked that and taken the shot, or someone?
No, this was a family road trip. So Mum and Dad took us three kids in the truck.
Oh,
so
okay.
We went on a road trip in the South Island and had the sleeper cab in the back there. So we had the dicky seat in the middle, and then two of us either side in the back. Obviously, we were only little wee tackers back then, didn't take up too much real estate. So that was...
if we'd waited a year or two, we wouldn't have done the trip. They wouldn't have fitted.
Yeah, you still got your camera turned off for some reason, Dad. No way you've inadvertently your camera's dropped off.
Everything's kosher on my end. I've just got a full screen of the truck, that's all.
Yeah, no, but on your phone, unfortunately, your camera's disappeared from Messenger. So yeah, we went on a road trip. So we're having some technical problems tonight, folks. Yeah, there's another captured screenshot.
Yeah, well, this is in Queenstown now, the big city trip, and the biggest problem when you go on a trip like this is that not a lot of motels or hotels have got room for a truck. And, but anyway, we fitted it in, and we snuck it round corners and we double parked and did all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it still worked out pretty damn good as a trip. You know, it was like a motorhome without the home part.
Yeah. What gets me though is the amount of overhang on the back of that thing. Would that be legal these days from the rear axle?
Yeah, it probably marginal, but it was a nice unit to drive. For some reason, it was nicely balanced, and the overhang, you know, wasn't a weight issue. There was nothing down there anyway. We had most of the gear was up the front, and the car, of course, was motored forward. So no, it handled well, went well. Nice truck to drive.
So that's outside a hotel in Queenstown. So where this was the flood of Invercargill, the flood in Invercargill, 1984. We skipped that race and then headed up and spent the week up at Queenstown. So some other photos here of it. We touched on this one at another show, and unfortunately I still can't bring Bruce to screen because he's not there. But Barry, you're still there, aren't you, mate?
Yeah, yeah. Some would probably wish that I wasn't.
So the truck was the car and the truck. It was sort of set the scene, and again, there's no warning on the side of that. So she's been down to the South Island. It's come back to Pookie for that ANZ series that year. Then the boys snuck off, and those avid watchers at home, this one's got an interesting story or two with it. And Bruce, I don't know whether you can remember where this one is.
Looks like Pukekohe to me, up on the hill underneath the trees.
Oh, yeah, the previous photo was. You've frozen again by the looks of it. I've changed screens.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, have you flicked over to the next one?
No, I'm playing Monopoly now. Oh yeah, here we go.
Yeah. So this one, infield, I'll give you that much of a clue. Oh, still lost you. Can you guess where that is?
Ooh, I don't know. It looks like South Island to me. Probably.
Yep.
There's a fair bit of mountain range there.
Timaru, isn't it?
The one a little bit north of Timaru. This is infield of Ruapuna.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, so the infield used to be where the pits was before the outfield, and this one I believe is the because it's got the number 4 on it, so it wasn't running in the ANZ series, even though it's still got ANZ on the side of it. There's a story about a certain fan blade on the front of the engine for this little enduro.
Yes. So Ruapuna, the only time that the XC ran at Ruapuna was for a race called, I think, the Southern 200, and we sent the truck with car inside it, obviously, on one of the inter-island boats, roll on, roll off, from Auckland down to Christchurch, and then we duly flew down and met up with the truck and ran in this particular race, and we were doing pretty well. We were up in the first 3 or 4, and came in for a pit stop with a hell of an engine vibration. It was like, you know, a crankshaft that wanted to break or had broken, and so I pulled in, and the boys put the bonnet up and found that there was a blade off the fan, and so everybody scratching their head looking for another fan. And anyway, I leapt out of the car and decided, well, the best thing was to balance this fan up was to take a blade off opposing it. And so I reached in there and wrestled with the fan blade for a minute or two, you know, twisting it and shaking it up and down, and finally got it to break off, and we duly got going again. So I think we still ended up third overall, which was quite a feat considering we'd been in the pits for a couple of minutes more than we could have been.
So there you go.
So bit of innovation there.
Yeah, no, I remember that. I remember you telling me about balancing, and we got a life lesson after that. Yeah, there's always a way to try and fix it. Never give up. I think there's a similar story when Cuddy, his car dropped a pulley off of the front straight at Highland Park starting, and anyhow, that's another story. We got that back together. So just look, the truck's been around. Like, geez, there it was going, Auckland, Christchurch on, roll off. So it did the rounds. The following year, it was back to the South Island, and this is one that I remember dearly because I never got to go to Invercargill the year before, but this is the following year, Invercargill. So look at this for a sponsorship endorsement. ANZ Bank went and parked right out the front and unloaded the car.
Good luck trying to do that now.
Yeah, well, I mentioned in a previous show about how we use the truck, and this is an example of how the car used to, have basically an elevated work platform, and you're able to work directly underneath it like a hoist. So as long as the truck didn't move, everything was honky-dory. So I think you probably have a few more braces under the ramps these days, but that's how we did it back then.
Yeah, I think this particular shot highlights something that from time to time is lacking in motor racing, and that is the commitment to sponsors. And of course, it's not always convenient. You go to a meeting, you get all hyped up, and you want to go racing. But at the end of the day, this presentation to the sponsors, I think we're parked outside there for a couple of hours for the ANZ Bank. And I know, Andrew, you've done a lot of this over the years, autograph signing sessions and that type of thing. It's an essential part of the sport, and it's just a shame that sometimes we don't see as much participation as we'd like. And so anybody watching it that can pass that on, I mean, it's just as valid today as it was back then, and it's pretty damn important.
Absolutely, yeah. And eagle-eyed viewers at home, I have no idea what shoes I was wearing then, but those are my feet, and Jacko's to the left, and pretty sporty-looking Adidas pants by the looks of it.
But, nomads. They look a bit like nomads.
Yeah, look, if I do this, oh, look at that, it's cropped out of the photo. What a shame. But also, the other reason for looking at the feet is she's now adorned the three-piece Simmons wheels too. So I tell you what, it looked pretty good on the jelly beans and the globes, but it for me, once it got onto the Simmons, that set the car off, and I think those ones are actually on my car, Baz. That's the very same set of wheels.
Yes, they have survived, and the three-piece Simmons is quite an expensive option nowadays. But having said that, we've never ever broken a Simmons centre. You can bend the outer rims and the inner rims and do just about all the damage that you think you can do to a wheel. You just unbolt them and pop some new ones on, and away you go again. So that's a great testament to how strong that Simmons centre is.
Yeah, very, very true.
But I think that look gave it just that sort of replicated the Aussie Group C look in a way too. You know, the gold centres and the polished outers.
Oh, absolutely.
Brought it up a notch.
Yep.
Yeah, the only problem was, of course, we were running wheels that were probably a couple of inches or more narrower. The Group C days, of course, they had to put flares on and so on. But the Falcons of this era in New Zealand were certainly undershod. But that was it. That was the rules. Everybody had to suffer the same.
Well, they had a 19-inch diameter, those Group C Falcons. I mean, you couldn't match that.
Mm-hmm. So people might have seen this photo already. So the next meeting after that 84, 85 ANZ series was the famous inaugural Wellington Street Race, and this here's a pretty cool photo of Dickie cruising down the. Well, no, it can't be. Maybe there's somebody else in the car. There could be going up for the dummy grid setup. But look at that in the background. She stands out, doesn't she? The old girl, the old truck.
Yeah.
Everyone else had
see it on
rentals.
TV, and the TV coverage, you'd always pick it up.
Yeah, so it stood out. So that was pretty cool. And I think I've got another one here. No, sorry. Oh, this one here. There she is in the background. So even the, I think that's Rochelle up there. Is that Rochelle in the grandstand? I think it is. Yeah, Rochelle's in her grandstand in front of the corporate boxes. I don't know whether you'd get away with that these days. We've just gone and blocked them out. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, you turn up early, you get the best spots.
Yeah. So it's all going on here. We've got the team. How many guys does it take to check out an engine inside an XE? About that many.
I'm looking for the 10 mil socket.
Yeah, one of the parts of this whole era was, of course, the air jacks and the refueling systems, the booms that we had to make, the amount of air bottles and air ratchets that we got. It was a whole new era of equipment. So we very soon learnt that one air bottle wasn't enough to run, a couple of those air guns, and so you ended up with usually 4 bottles, I think was normal. Your hose sizes needed to be bigger. Just the whole thing changed the game completely.
Yeah, it certainly did. And I think even these rattle guns were the first of the magazine style, where the nuts all stacked up inside them. So that was quite ingenious at the time. It was all fine if they came out, but if one got jammed in there, you had a bit of a fight on your hands. But that was true. So yeah, the boom, I think later on it got an extension to it because we realised that you wanted to have a bit wider of an entrance. So that's Wellington. So the truck's still featuring, and still got the team merchandise going hard out there on the door, Barry.
Yeah, I see that.
So that's well and truly popular. So one of the other popular things that happened was this. Now, we can't really see the truck, but we can certainly see there's a bit of activity going on here, Barry.
Yeah, look at that. I don't know how many steaks that must have been cooked around that era, but and other things that went with it.
Yeah.
Well, this was something that Jude excelled at. She made sure that there was plenty of food for everybody, and her and whoever was around that could give her a hand. They used to put on some pretty good feeds, and it was an enjoyable part of the weekend. It was much look forward to, and long into the night sometimes.
Yeah, some would say it was the main activity that we were trying to do, and the racing just got in the way of the party starting earlier. So, but
that's right. We never used to turn up to the racing till 4 o'clock.
So I've got another one later on which we'll get to, but that sort of kind of sets the scenes of, again, the group of supporters. We're very lucky to have a lot of supporters come along to the race meetings and hang around and join in the festivities. So that was always a very cool part. So we touched on last time the Fox body and the Group A Mustang, and again the truck features well and truly in that. I was supposed to have it teed up, but unfortunately I haven't got the link sorted, but there's a video of this truck arriving at the at Bay Park for this particular test session. We saw little bits of it last time in the video. But again, the truck, she's always, wherever the cars were, the truck wasn't far away. And as you can see, it ended up getting stickered up. She's sporting the Nissan Mobile. She's been there. She's sporting the Motorcrafts. So Shell as well. So all of the branding was copied over onto the truck. So over time, she got a few additions. So this here is really the cue for one of its big adventures. Here's a shot again, just of the Mustang with it. But you mentioned that you bought the truck new, Dad. But did you ever expect that it would end up parked inside the infield at Bathurst?
Well, no, I don't think we did. And of course, the only reason we got there was that we switched to the Fox body, and we told that story about sourcing the cars in Australia and bringing them back to New Zealand and so on and so forth. But yeah, that was the only way that we could possibly have ever got there. I think the Group C cars were just not something New Zealand was replicating, and so Group A was a blessing in that respect. And I think probably more Kiwis ended up going to Bathurst during that era, the Group A era, than any other time, because of course the cars we were running in New Zealand could come straight over to Australia and slot right in. So that was a big plus.
Yeah, well, certainly setting up camp here at Bathurst was made somewhat easier when you got the awning now is adorned on the side of the truck. I think that's Jacko just in front of the Nifty 50. Back on my pickers, that's Murray Lonergan, but I could be wrong. It's certainly not me. It's way too big for me, and I wasn't there in '85. But a few more additions. One was the pit bike, and check out the trolley, custom Toby yellow trolley, Barry.
Yeah.
Everything got tainted Toby yellow.
Who did the obviously a local crowd did the awning, because that's a pretty good looking job.
Yeah, I'd have to.
Yeah, it was a pretty robust piece of canvas. That I suppose that was its only fault really, was that it was canvas and it was pretty heavy. But it was well thought out. Murray Lonergan, who was working for us at the time, he was pretty innovative in how he could fabricate things up. So the main roof poles there were actually telescopic, and so they just slipped up inside each other and laid down against the side of the truck and were secured there. But the actual canvas itself probably would have lasted 50 years. I think it's still rolled up on the side of the body. Maybe not good now.
Yeah. No, it certainly is, and I think that's definitely Murray Lonergan at the front of the truck, front of the car with the engine crane. So he was a very clever engineer, and without any plans could visualize something and build it pretty faultlessly first time round. So there's John Gilbert in the '96 overalls, Hoppy just in front to the front left, just out of shot in the shadow to the left of the engine. And apologies, I can't quite pick who the gentleman is at the back helping on the right hand side. But yeah, pre-race probably engine swap going on there, was it, Dad?
Yeah, I think we just had the two engines and made a swap, I think, after the last test session. But yeah, we when I say we had two engines, I mean they weren't dynoed engines back in those days, and this was one of the reasons after the '85 Bathurst we decided we needed an engine dyno. So mostly engine dynos are about reliability. It's not so much the ultimate number you get out of them, but just how the engine behaves over time, and you can run them up for an hour or two and find out whether you've got any leaks, obviously, which you don't expect, but you sometimes get. You find out whether you've got an overheating problem, and of course you've got an opportunity to pop the sump off, have a look at bearings before you commit to race the thing. So those things were lacking back then, and but that was just the way it was. We were learning, we were growing, and experience was a bit lacking.
Yeah, so yeah, certainly some other additions that came along, and maybe one day we need to get Ken Hopper along and have a bit of a trip down memory lane, because yeah, he had a few toys to play with in the race shed back in the full heydays. Full Superflow engine dyno, and engine room and the chassis room, and obviously the machinery that was used to keep the mill running as well. So there was a fair bit going on. So this was Bathurst as well. Looks like later in the weekend it's pretty clean and tidy. There's a camp set up next door, cars in the background. So our good mate Cosmo, centre of screen. So just moving on, just another picture here that was taken not long after the return of Bathurst 85. This is back in New Zealand. Bruce was out with his collarbone, and Warren Midgley was driving the Falcon there on the trailer, and it got relegated to second spot with the Mustang inside the truck. So this was one out of Wayne's collection. So he was out on tour racing down at Bay Park, I think this was, and then obviously setting up here at Bay Park again. The awning, first cab out. I think the XE's trumped the Mustang there, Baz, for the spot under the awning.
Yeah. Shading, out of the sun.
Yeah. So there it is, getting unloaded down the ramps. Typically the truck would have been elevated as well, but always got a bit challenging once you got the awning out, because you couldn't put the hoist back up again. And here's the same setup with the those telescopic poles that you talk about, Dad. So it's all set up, ready to go, including the branding on the awning as well. So didn't miss many opportunities. So the truck's gone to Bathurst. It's come back. It's doing another New Zealand tour, and then 86 rolls around. And we talked actually last night. We had John English online, didn't we, Barry? That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, nice surprise. Nice of him to join in.
Yeah, and then it rocked up back at Bathurst again in 86. So I don't know whether we ever got a record of how many miles the truck had done by the time it got retired and put into delivery service, Dad, but it certainly clocked up a few.
Yeah, they were interesting miles. I don't think the clock was that high. However, showed the benefit of having a new truck from the start, and that part of the team was always reliable. So yeah, towing a trailer, that had some adventure in Australia. We had just a regular normal car trailer hitch on it, and that was fine. But when the boys picked it up in Sydney and started driving towards Brisbane, this of course was pre-86 Bathurst, the hitch broke, and so this particular trailer was a pretty heavy old girl. It was actually solid aluminium panels on the side, and it was a pretty heavy deal. And so the standard hitch let go, and I think from memory they were about halfway between Sydney and Bathurst, and so they parked up, and pretty good, innovative guys. They managed to get a pintle hook type tow eye put onto it. Now, a pintle hook, for those who have never seen one, is a coupling that the army used to use, and it's got an opening crab type fixture on the truck, on the towing vehicle, and it's got a big eye on the actual trailer. So it's pretty robust, made for truck use, and so that's what they got set up with.
Yeah, I remember that happening, because they had to come to Bathurst and unload the truck, and then empty the truck out, go back and fetch everything out of the trailer and put it in. But I think the other part of the story, which we'll get Wayne to verify, is I think just before it left New Zealand, I think the last thing they did when it drove out of the yard at Pinepac, he says, "Oh, you better put some big chains on that, some big safety chains." And if it wasn't for those, it could have just speared off down the bank. But I think Cosmo said it was swaying on the back on the chains pretty excitingly, but it didn't let loose, which was very fortunate. So again, luck of the chances for Jacko to pick that up as it left Pinepac. So I just brought that forward because there's the trailer, and there's yours truly. That was my job.
At what age? Yeah. What are you, about 13 years old there, Andrew?
It was 86 Bathurst, so yeah, 14 years old,
Yep.
sprightly 14-year-old.
14.
Well, no, technically 13 because I didn't turn 14 until November. So Bathurst being in October. So that
I was a mere 19-year-old. My first trip. Stuff.
Yeah, so that was giving her a wash before she left on the way home.
Yeah.
Oh, I think we're losing Bruce there for a minute, but he's back.
Yeah, I've got a flat battery.
Oh no.
Ah, is that what it was?
So yeah, I just go back and pick up on that's a pretty cool shot there, isn't it, Baz? That's the infield at Bathurst.
Yep.
The nightlife, if you like, the Westie nightlife.
It looks nice. It obviously would have stood out in the
Check
in
it out.
paddock.
It's got the trees on the back.
Got the cutouts.
Yeah.
Is it painted on, or is it almost look like it's cut out?
I think that was a clear, like the windows on the side.
Yeah.
And then obviously the roof at night time. The sign writing worked well at night, well during the day, and then at night time it showed up pretty cool as well. So yeah. And I did actually pick up on this here. Check these guys out.
What's some Brocky fans?
I reckon that's a Brocky team checking out the setup, going, "God, I wish we had something like these boys."
Oh, exactly.
What do you think? They come all the way from West Auckland and they're trumping us with their setup. And there's Johnny English's mate, Ronnie Richards, front and centre.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and Ken Penny, just over there, one of our long-time maintenance engineers at Pinepac. So he's featured in a couple of the background photos, so it's good to see him in there. And
that would have been, how many you would have been? Probably 10 or 12 crew went over, or plus.
Yeah, look, I think you're about right there, Baz. A couple of extras outside of work. I don't know how work carried on running when they went away racing, but yeah, no, there was a good number of them. And there's Ken Hopper driving Abe's Babe around in the pits. And for those who are watching, check that out. That was the front wheels was silver and the back wheels were gold.
Oh, yep.
Because they're different offsets to make sure they didn't put the wrong wheels at the wrong end of the car.
Yep. Well, that'll work.
It works, but yeah, I don't know if it does for the OCD people watching at home having different colour wheels front and back.
Oh, I don't think it would have seen the same thing on Dick Johnson's green Mustang. I think at one point he had the white Momos at one end and the Simmons like on the other end. So
yeah, and I think he had fins on one of them as well, didn't he? He run the fins on the front of the XE and then just the open wheels on the back. Yeah,
fins on the XE. Yeah, but I think no, they swapped the wheels around. So hey, you could be forgiven.
Yeah, I think so. So meanwhile, we're waiting for Bruce to go and find some battery. He may be back joining us.
Yeah, no, I'm plugged in again.
Oh, good. Maybe you can find the camera button and turn your camera back on.
Yeah. So
that's the truck, and there's another story to this, Baz, and I gave you a bit of an intro to it. Not long after the end of the race, Dad said, "Look, you don't come all the way to Bathurst and not go and watch the podium. Got to go down to the podium." So the race had finished.
Yep.
I wandered down to the podium, and I couldn't get there because of the heaps of people. So I weaved my way and got underneath the podium, and actually got picked up on the Channel 7, Channel 9 TV footage, sneaking out underneath. But shortly after this, Cosmo set sail, and because the car had broken down, we got it loaded up pretty quickly, and it set sail just not long after the end of the race. So rather than heading out onto Mountain Straight and going that way, of course there's thousands of people everywhere. Yeah, said, bugger this, I'll just drive through past the podium. So there he was. There's an aerial chopper photo of Cosmo parting the fans, trying to drive the truck through as they're trying to do the podium presentation, and he just wants to get out onto the highway and get on the way home. It's like Cosmo was like, "Oh, I've got this. I've got this."
Yep.
So yeah, I must try and find
Yeah, well,
a YouTube video of it.
the thing was, Cosmo didn't have much time to get on the boat. And when I say that, he's in Bathurst and the boat's in Melbourne. And so this is one of the roll-on, roll-off Union shipping boats. And so he just knows that he really hasn't got enough time to get there. And literally, he pushed his way through and then set sail. And from that point onwards, he had to be in touch with the Union shipping people because the boat should have left. And I think they held the boat up. This is a Trans-Tasman boat full of cargo. And they held it up and they said, when you go onto the wharf, just drive straight up the ramp. And as you're driving up the ramp, we'll lift the ramp and the boat will cast off and be underway. And that apparently is exactly what happened. So great friends at Union Shipping back in those days, and last minute stuff. But yeah, that's why he was pushing through. It was a real situation. If he hadn't got on that boat, well, we'd have waited for another week or whatever it had taken. So we wanted to get to a race at Manfield, and that's how we managed to do it.
So we touched on the racing side of things, and this is after getting back to Bathurst. They got back to the B&H, then it was another Nissan Mobile 500. This is the Pukekohe round of the Nissan Mobile 500, and it's a bit of a show about talking about the behind the scenes of what happened in the pit supporters. And I came across this in Wayne's collection, and surprisingly, no surprises there. There he is, right in front of centre.
Leading by example.
Leading by example, yeah. Certainly, we're a bit bored, so let's make up a game. So it's a case of the old the old discus type. How far can you throw it through the mud? So that's there's a bit of a throwing competition going on there. So I think some of these characters, we've already been through this before, haven't we, Barry? Some of these characters here left of screen, I think they've got a bit of a linkage to you.
Yeah, I think they did. There's a couple of them there with the Johnston name at the back, and probably I think over to the right in the background too. But the jury's still out on. I'm sure that's Paul with his arms crossed.
Yeah,
that was Paul with the safety boots on.
Yeah, I'm picking that's you behind him with the white shirt, but that's you were thinking you were somewhere else. So that could be as another brother here, or this could be, is this Paul maybe here?
Yeah, that's possibly. It might have been Terry on the other side, but yeah, we're never too far away from all the competition.
No, so it's well and truly on here, and look at the old mud pit at Pukekohe. It's going on. So here's young Corey. Now Corey, he was a fan of Cosmos, and he used to get picked up from Matamata and taken around. We adopted him as an avid fan. There's myself in shot. Jacko, behind Jacko you got Murray Lonergan again. Our good mate Cosmo. You can no mistaking his profile. And yeah, that's I think we got some young Stephen Murray maybe in the front of shot back on here, I think. Jury's out on that. So yeah, that's some of the action that was going on in the pits, and I don't quite know who won, but Jacko seemed to look pretty happy with himself with his efforts, and I don't know whether that's from throwing the tyre. There's a few cans being hoiked into there as well, or whether this was one of his flat spot efforts earlier on in the weekend. I don't quite know. It's all going off there for sure.
Good days, good days.
Very good days. So, kind of getting to the end of where I've got prepared for this evening, and yeah, the truck, it's gone a long ways. It's seen a lot of places. It's seen some. We talked about this gentleman here as well. The two on the right have shot, we know, but the gentlemen on the left have shot is a pretty famous
Yep.
friend, and he pops up, and it keeps popping up in Bruce's photos from right back at the original B&H to the Group A era, and then even coming along and driving together, Dad.
Yeah, I suppose not something that I initially expected would happen, and a lot of these things are unplanned, of course. And but anyway, it was a natural thing to ask Robbie to come and drive with us at one stage there. I think possibly the car he was going to drive wasn't available, and so yeah, very very glad to have him on board, and always been good mates with Robbie, and yeah, best wishes to him.
Yes, it was pretty cool. Then Australian touring car champion. So you've had two Australian touring car champions race with you, one being Dick and one being Robbie. So it's a
Yep.
pretty good resume. And again, just this is the Wellington Street Race underneath the awning. Again, the truck in well use. So just rounding out a bit of a chat tonight on an ode to the Pinepac truck. Really, we can't really say much about the truck without saying something about this guy. And he's been in a few photos, but I mean the truck, it didn't do. Oh, he probably did 90% of the miles driving the thing, and that's our good friend Ian Cosmo, and here he is here at the back of the XE. Hell of a nice guy, probably responsible for coordinating most of your supporters events, Barry. I'm sure
He was the go-to.
He was the
Yep.
go-to guy.
He was a magnet.
Are you meaning a car magnet or a chick magnet?
Oh, he knew the ones that wanted to have a beer and a steak at the end of the day. He found us.
He found you, yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, Cosmo, he spent a bit of time with the business before he got this job, didn't he, Dad?
Yeah, Ian was his proper name, of course, and he got called Ian some of the time, but mostly Cosmo. And so he drove bulldozers for me back in the day, and whether it was D6 or D8, or he at one stage was driving our Webco motor scraper. So he had a turn on most of the stuff we had. Drove a 14A D8 with a carry-all behind it. And so I spent quite a bit of time on heavy equipment. And as far as fixing problems, if you like, or tidying people up that needed tidying up, Cosmo was the guy to do it. And I don't think I ever saw him raise a fist to anybody, but he had just that a way of talking to people and persuading them to do things. And such a gentle giant.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and held in very high regard with the team. This is around 87. I can pick from the Vision Stream logo on the front there of the Mustang. Obviously celebrating her birthday, and I can guarantee that'll be a cake that Mum made because she was a big Cosmo fan, and always enjoyed a big Cosmo hug. And there's Jacko looking down from the truck. So
I'm looking at the white Steinlager can.
I didn't need to give you a lead in to see what he was drinking. I knew you'd pick out that part. You mean, is there a truck there somewhere? You're trying to find the truck.
Oh, that's right. That yellow thing in the background. Of course.
So lovable character. Certainly as a kid growing up, he was awesome to be around. And I mean, this fella here, he was pretty proud to be part of the team, as we said last night, and we were proud to have him as part of the team. And certainly while we're talking about the truck, it was him that made a lot of that truck history, driving around. And we miss him dearly. And this is him catching up with Dad when Dad got an opportunity to drive the Fox Body Mustang at Eastern Creek in 2007, if I'm correct. So yes, that's all I've got to talk through tonight. It's been a bit of a different side segue to talk about supporters, and we've had a few of them on board. Ross is wondering where all the dwarfs have gone. Kenny's joined us again. Ian Pledges even having a laugh.
Is he still up?
Yeah, he's still up. It's not quite bedtime yet. Dad, we were fortunate to have Grant Sprague on the line last night, and he's joined again tonight. Great to see some of the history, he says. Well, yeah, it's we need to get to talk to him. That's a family and a team that's got some history, the Spragues.
Now, part of Cosmo's history went along with our mascot that we had at the time. Yeah, we've got a photo of that, have you?
Is that the big Kiwi?
Yeah, no, sorry.
Yeah.
I don't, but I'll have to get one under request. But yes, I know what you're talking about.
I think Cosmo was instrumental in getting that Kiwi as our mascot.
Yeah, you're right. I think he was actually instrumental in a lot of things, and I saw it in the back shot before, and if I quickly jump back to it, this here at Bathurst, up here on the truck, up the back here, you spot it up on the wall there, Barry?
The mirror?
The mirror, yeah. I believe that was something he also instigated about getting mirrors done. So there was an XE mirror and an XE and a Mustang mirror. And that was the rage back then. I've got two of them on my wall in my man cave here, which are treasured possessions. And in the middle, I've got a Dick Johnson XE mirror, autographed by the great man. So, yeah, those were some of the things. And you mentioned about the Kiwi, and unfortunately, I don't believe I've got a shot of the Kiwi. I'm just having a quick scan. You can fill in the blanks here, guys, while I'm yabbering away.
I'd say Cosmo he probably should have been in marketing as well, because the way he had those shirts displayed, the caps, the merchandise, and as you say, Andrew, getting the mirrors done. Look at that.
Look at that. There you go. I knew I had one somewhere.
There was an extra seat on the plane.
Yeah.
And you asked before, Barry, how many people? Well, that shot shows 15.
Jeez, okay. Yeah.
So, yeah, that was 15, sometimes even as much as many as 20 when we had the two cars running. So, it was quite a trip, really. You needed a bus, really, to cart everybody around.
Yeah, quite a logistical, not nightmare, but yeah, quite a big effort.
Now, this gentleman here, just to the left of the Kiwi, is a young, sprightly-looking Barry Clark. Now, Barry Clark worked in the workshop alongside Hoppy, who's just here next to Bruce with the beard. I was actually talking to Bazza the other day, Dad, as you know. I let you know why he wanted to touch base with us about some trees. And he actually relocated from Brisbane to New Zealand and filled the race truck up. And maybe that's why it was overloaded and Cosmo took so long to get to Melbourne, because it had all his possessions from storage in Brisbane somewhere, and he was coming back to New Zealand. And I didn't think at the infield at Bathurst there I would have been watching so many of his Wiggles movies at night time, but they seemed to just come on after 10 o'clock, and I learned about the Wiggles really early on in life, but I'm not sure it's the kind of Wiggles you're thinking about.
I'm not going anywhere with that, but I got an idea where you're heading.
Fair enough. I'm sure if Mum knew what happened on tour, she would never have sent me, but it was always part of the fun being amongst these guys. So yeah, there you go, the Kiwi. He travelled as much as Cosmo, and it probably styled on him a little bit as well.
Yeah, certainly needed trousers as big.
Yes. All right, guys. Well, thanks for your time, and we're going to go back to the studio, but unfortunately we've lost Bruce in the proceedings, so we don't know where he's disappeared, but we've heard him all night. So thanks for your contributions.
Might go and do a bit more reading.
Baz is going to get the Bible out and do some nighttime reading for Jackie, so I'm sure she's thrilled about that.
Oh, well, it's her birthday week still.
And we're all pining that the real Bathurst isn't on, so we've got to wait a little bit longer. And little bit double-edged sword this year because we were supposed to be back over at the mountain for a second attempt. But maybe next year. We'll wait and see what happens COVID-wise. So anyhow, thanks for your chat, Dad. We'll let you say the final word.
Yeah, well, don't need any final words for one of these sessions. There'll be time for another one probably. And so, yeah, thanks for having me, and we'll see you next week maybe.